What is going on, beautiful people? I hope you are having a fantastic day. Today we are going to be talking about the pros and cons of living in Greenwood Village, Colorado. And hey, if this is your first time to the channel and you're interested in maybe learning a little bit more about Denver or some of the surrounding suburbs like Greenwood Village, make sure and hit the subscribe button down below, tap the bell icon for notifications. That way you can be the first to be notified when I come out with a new video and you can learn a little bit more about the Denver area. And if you don't already know, my name is Michael and I get people reaching out all the time, whether they're just thinking about making a move to Denver or just kind of, exploring the option. So if that's something that might be up your alley, then feel free to shoot me a call, give me a text, email. My contact information is below. I'd be more than happy to help you get wherever you're looking to get or answer any questions you might have. But without further ado, let's get right into the video. And if you're not already familiar with Greenwood Village, it's kind of on the way into Denver as you're driving up north from Colorado Springs. It's kind of right at the entrance. You're driving right through, you hit the Denver Tech Center, and it's kind of a small spot, but you have to drive through it. One thing Greenwood Village is known for is the Denver Tech Center. It's where a lot of major businesses are located, and it's just the business and economic trading center in Colorado. My office is actually located in the Denver Tech Center, so I'm usually there 4 or 5 days a week, but really easy to get to, not too hard to get around, and it's a nice area overall. Greenwood Village has a population of about 16,000 people. It's a relatively smaller area, so you can't fit as many people in there, but if you kind of go a little bit west, it's a little bit spread out, so not as dense as some other areas, but overall smaller population than some of the larger suburbs in the Denver area. But with that being said, let's get right into the pros. All right, the first thing I'll talk about is just the proximity to Denver. You're very centrally located. You're kind of on the south side of Denver, but it's really easy to kind of get wherever you're going. You have a lot of the major roads right there. You have I-25 going north, E-470 going east and west, and then 225 if you're kind of going up northeast and maybe to the airport, just kind of getting around. It's relatively accessible to get to the rest of Denver. Obviously, if there's a little bit of traffic, you might have a little bit harder time doing that, but for the most part, you're not living kind of deep in one of the suburbs where it's a little hard to get to one of the major roads. Another great thing about Greenwood Village is the access to parks around you. You're also really close to Cherry Creek State Park, so you have this massive open space, lots of hiking, biking trails. In the summer, you can go to the reservoir. It's not too far. And just north of the reservoir is a little park called Village Greens Park. Lots of fields, there's playgrounds, plenty of stuff to do. So you can spend a whole day there with your family, maybe go have a picnic. They have intramural activities kind of year round throughout there. So you can really pick from a lot of parks to go to. There's plenty of parks scattered throughout, but those are kind of the two big ones that are nearby. So a secondary piece to that is there's just a lot of outdoor activities available to you. So if you're looking for an intramural league, maybe you're just doing something fun, maybe like a office league of some sort, plenty around you. You're not gonna have to go too far. And if you're just trying to go find a place to read a book or maybe just go for a nice relaxing walk, you're not gonna have to go far regardless of where you're at in Greenwood Village. Another great thing about Greenwood Village is the fact that the Denver Tech Center is there. So there's a good chance that you might even be working in or around the Denver Tech Center, or if you're looking for a job, there's probably one that you can find in there. So if you're kind of living in Greenwood Village, you're not going far for work. You're not gonna have to commute very far, and there's plenty of job opportunities in that area. On top of that, and this kind of goes throughout Greenwood Village, but specifically the Denver Tech Center, there's lots of dining options around. So there's a lot of businesses, so they're like, hey, these people got to eat lunch, maybe dinner if they're staying late. So there's restaurants scattered all around. There's chain restaurants, hole in the walls, family owned, stuff like that. And you can pretty much walk. You're usually within walking distance of wherever your office is to at least a few good places. And usually it's kind of a variety of choices. It's not all the same thing in one spot. And if you really want something different, you only have to drive a couple minutes. And one last great thing about Greenwood Village is you're relatively close to the mountains. Now, when people think of Colorado, they're thinking, Front Range mountains. They want to be the mountains. Usually people don't come to Colorado without at least having some thought of, I'm going to go skiing or I'm going to go hiking. So even if you haven't done any of that and you just want to try it, it's right there. You're kind of not too far from accessing that. If you're on the east side, it's a little hard to kind of get through things. But if you're kind of right centrally located, especially next to one of the major roads going out to the mountains, then you're not gonna have a hard time visiting when you want to go. Now, if you're always waiting for the peak times of when people are going skiing, so early Friday, afternoon Friday, just kind of before the weekend, you're probably still gonna hit a lot of traffic. But you know, I mean, regardless of where you're at in Denver, you're probably gonna hit that traffic. But for the most part, you're gonna save a little time just because you're right there, and you're not gonna have to deal with a whole lot of traffic getting there and just all the headaches of planning to get around that stuff. Now, like every other suburb, there are a few drawbacks that make it not the best place. And the first being is the cost of living. The median single family home in Greenwood Village is right under 2 million at 1.96 million. So a little bit expensive. And you know, there's a handful that go under $1 million, but usually those need a little bit of work and they're not as nice as some of the, you know, other homes, especially if you're going out a little east or even west. I mean, pretty much anywhere else at that price point, about like right around $1 million, is gonna buy really nice homes. Not necessarily in Greenwood Village. You're probably gonna have to do a little work on the house if that's the case. But there's also quite a few homes in the 4, 5, 6 millions. There's even one right now that's just under 20 million. So if you're looking for more of a luxury home, then maybe Greenwood Village is the place that you need to be looking. Maybe Greenwood Village is a good spot to maybe look at or just kind of consider, just because you have quite a few options in that price range where you're not gonna find a whole lot of those upper end homes throughout Denver. They're really gonna be kind of in a few locations throughout Denver. Greenwood Village is one of them. So this next one I'm gonna break into 2 parts actually. The first one being, you're kind of in the center of things, so there's gonna be a lot more traffic, just kind of naturally. You know, everyone's kind of going to where you are rather than you traveling somewhere else. So people are just gonna come to you, so the traffic's gotta be there. So during peak hours, you're gonna have a lot of traffic coming in and out. So if you don't have to leave at a certain time, or you're not necessarily headed to work, you're going out for groceries or something like that, maybe wait till after rush hour. Usually it's 7:30 to 9:30. You avoid those, you save probably 20% just sitting in your car. Same thing with about 4 to 5:30, 6 o'clock. You avoid those hours, you're probably pretty good. But for the most part, it's kind of expected. Compared to most major cities, I'd say we actually do pretty well with traffic, just because a lot of people work from home. But still something to consider, that you know, you're gonna have a little bit of traffic. It's gonna be a little bit noisier with the cars running all over the place, and just what it is. And the second piece of that is, because there's a lot of people, there's gonna be a lot more foot traffic, so it's gonna be busier. So if you're just walking to the shop, you know, there's gonna be a line, there's gonna be a lot of people. You're not gonna find an empty cafe, so you can go read a book or sit on your laptop for a little bit. You're gonna have to get there early to get a spot for your laptop. Just saying, you know, it's gonna be a little bit busier. Usually the businesses around there are a little bit quicker when it comes to service, so you're not waiting necessarily longer, but you're just gonna have to deal with a little bit more people around. So, you know, if you like your personal space and maybe you're somebody who likes to go to Starbucks and sit down with a cup of coffee and just read a book or type away, maybe this might not be the space. Or, you know, on those days you just travel out 10 minutes and go find one that's not as busy. So there are definitely positives and negatives to living in Greenwood Village. I'd say the biggest drawback is probably just the price point. But if you're really attracted to the area, maybe you find somewhere right outside of Greenwood Village, because the price drops significantly if you just kind of go right across the street. So if you like the area, it's got a lot to offer, especially the Denver Tech Center. It's a great place. If you're just kind of in town, checking it out, highly recommend going and taking a look. I highly recommend just kind of driving through, see for yourself, just see what's going on. It's kind of like a mini city feeling without all the busyness of a city. It's a really well put together area, and a lot of people love it for that reason. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope maybe you learned a little bit of something, or just kind of maybe now you know Greenwood Village isn't the spot for you, or maybe you're like, hey, maybe let's put that on the list. I don't know. But I hope you found it helpful. And don't forget, if you are planning on moving out here, you're just thinking about it, you have some questions, don't forget to reach out. My contact information is below, whether it's 1 month, 10 months, 2 years, whatever it may be. Happy to help in whatever way I can. But until next time, I'll see you guys later.